This is a Headgum podcast.
Sometimes when the world feels insane, you can take a little peek inside of Rachel's little brain. All these thoughts are swirling round and round inside. To join us on this journey as we take a little ride. We'll talk about dogs and kids and things. We'll talk about chicks and tampon strings. We'll talk about boys that'll make you cry. We'll talk about death, 'cause people die.
Welcome.
Are we recording?
Yeah. Welcome to Broad Ideas.
Feels like a new day.
It feels like a new year.
It's a new year.
Everyone is counting February as their new year.
Yeah.
So
We're done with that year, January.
that whole year. We are so excited because Broad Ideas is joining Headgum, and this is our first episode with them, and we're so excited.
Lots of changes, old Max. Lots of changes.
Old Max?
You don't know what that's
What's
from?
that
I
from?
thought if anyone knew, it'd be you.
No, I know it's something.
Come on.
It's a dog movie.
Lots of changes, old Max.
No.
Lots of changes.
Ah,
Come on.
tell me.
It's a Dirty Dancing when the
Yep.
old guy comes up.
Max.
And,
Yep,
yes.
got it. Max. Yep, the
Okay.
hotel owner, Max. Got it. Oh, sleep at the wheel. Today we have Christina Milian.
We're very lucky.
We are very lucky. And I mean, I've been a fan of hers for so long.
Even more so.
You know, even more so than so long.
Yeah. Even just like further than that.
But yeah, we're super excited. But let's get to Christina.
How are you, Bob?
We are good. We are doing good and so happy to talk to you. So thanks for hopping on with us.
No problem. I know last week also your little one was sick. Mine was too, by the way. It was like perfect timing. My daughter, I have like now I have like the leftover cold from watching them. I didn't get the flu, but I have just the cold.
Yeah, no, it's been a ending cycle of just sickness after sickness. I was like battling friends over puking, stomach flu. I'm just like, oh my gosh. You feel like you have to be in a hazmat suit like at your house because there's just so much going around.
You could just hope your immune system builds up enough that it's built up enough that you can like happily avoid it. But who knows?
But do you feel like as a mom, I don't know, for me, and I have to knock on wood, like super immune system, like my daughter will literally be like coughing or vomiting inside my mouth and I won't get sick.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what that
I think
is.
It's the same thing here. Same here. I don't know what it is either, but I usually tend to be the one to avoid, and then Dad gets sick. He's the one that also got. He got whatever they got last week. So
listen,
and he's the one that drinks like all the orange, like vitamin C in the morning, and goes like over the top with it.
And this might be a controversial statement, but I do feel, and I'm not going to say all men, but most men, when they get sick, seem a lot sicker than us.
Not in my house.
You're like the one exception.
Yeah. I'm the one. It's like,
that's true.
If I get it, I'm taken down. But if my husband gets it, he's like, it was nothing. And I'm like, well,
really?
We're in the hospital.
Hold on, though. Her husband's a doctor. So you know how doctors are always like, this is nothing? I think that's more.
Well, they also expose them to things to build their immune system. Like that's part
is that right?
Yeah. In residency, he would have to go in and they want you exposed to as much as you can so you build your immune system. They can't leave work if they get sick.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes total sense.
It's so funny because my mom was here and like my stepdad, like if he even hears the word cold, like the next day he's like bedridden.
Are you serious?
Oh my gosh.
Really?
I just put
they're
him on
so dramatic.
So dramatic. Oh my God. Okay, wait, you live in Paris, right?
Yeah, I'm in Paris.
You're in, is that open? Like you talk, it's like that's known. You live there.
Yeah, I talk about it in the open.
Yeah. Okay, just, you know.
I live here.
I'm going to make sure.
Pretty cool. Yeah, my husband's French. He, by the way, are we good? Like I just like started talking about everything.
Oh yeah, no,
yes,
we don't.
We just go.
We don't.
Yeah, there's no formalities or anything.
Even
We're just
better.
Like, let's get into it.
Okay, let's do it. No, I live here. Yeah, I've been living here for like off and on for the last 6 years since we've been together. But to be honest with you, like really, really kind of committed the last year and a half. And then somehow, for some reason, every 6 months, it's like I end up going back to LA for some reason. So I just went back recently because of Dexter, Original Sin. So that was pretty cool because I got to go back home. I was with like my mom, my sisters, and I got to see all my old friends. And Dad handled everything while the kids were at school here. And now I'm back here again. But yeah, this is our playground right now, is just as Paris, because the kids are in school full time here.
Wow.
Yeah, I want to hear how you got to that decision, because that's a big decision. I'm sure you...
And away from like your mom and stuff with your kids, like what? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, it wasn't too difficult of a decision, because something about our relationship, like, I think if we're ever in one place for too long, it's like sometimes we get a little bored, not of each other, but just like it's exciting. We like to move around. Our kids are used to it. Since they were born, I mean, my daughter's definitely when a single mom, she was always with me all the time. Then at the beginning of my relationship with my husband, he was here in France, and then he moved to LA, and then we found ourselves like going back and forth all the time because of work. He's really good at planning. Like, our balance is, I'm the more free-spirited one, and he's the one that plans like 2 years in advance. So I kind of know what our schedule is going to consist of because of him, and I just go with the flow. And I have no problem with this because I kind of grew up that way. My father was like the spontaneous one. We just moved around as a family, as a pack, and it was always fun, and we were never bored, and life was kind of an adventure. And I think I think a lot of people are doing that these days, you know, even to the point where they have their kids doing homeschooling. Now, I am not doing that. I refuse. I can barely like do the homework with my daughter, and like, she brings back the grades, and I'm like, what did we get? So
what grade is she
homeschool in? Mom. She's ninth grader.
Wow, high school.
Yeah, that's like, it gets tougher, and they have a whole different way of teaching now. So yeah, I'm not a homeschool mom, that kind of mom. But over here, we have like the nanny that helps out whenever I go out of town, or if Matt goes out of town for work. There's always somebody to help. Like, his parents are here, his mom will come, or my mom will even fly from LA, and she'll stay here with the kids if I'm, you know, back in LA working on something, and with Matt if he needs any help. But really, he's like, I think he's like, really loves parenting so much. To the point where like he rushes home. Like, he's like done working, and he's like, the first thing he does is go home. You know, whereas some people are like, you know, you work and you're like, this is nice, so I have my moment by myself. For him, he's like, can't wait to get back home. So it's perfect because he handles it when I'm gone, and I have no, like, I feel fine. Like, I'm not worried about anything. I know everything's handled here. My daughter's great with her siblings. And yeah, and when we are together, where, you know, they have like these every 6 weeks here in France, you get 2 weeks off of vacation. The kids get 2 weeks off of school.
What?
Yes. Did you know that? It's crazy. I didn't know this either.
That. I mean, I knew they have a lot of things like figured out.
Yeah. And they've been doing this forever. This isn't new. So every 6 weeks, they get 2 weeks off from school. And I feel like all the families, like, and if this was like a new thing, it would probably be tough for somebody with work and trying to figure out, you know, how that would work out. But because this is implemented in all of the systems, like, the families actually all take breaks in that 2 weeks, and they go on these family vacations or road trips, or it's very normal for them over here. So it's a cool lifestyle. And so we've adjusted to the lifestyle with work and family pretty easy, because it kind of is the same way for everyone here.
Yeah.
I love that.
That is amazing. So do you speak French fluently?
Not fluent. I'm working on it. No. You know, it's more about like getting over being nervous, because I challenged myself to finally like really commit to it. So I've been working on it for a year and a half, and I've been off and on with a coach, and then also Duolingo. And I'm pretty good. But it's really like the people I talk to will be like in the Uber, or it'll be people that I feel are not going to judge me, and I can have like a really carefree conversation with them. And then most of the time, everybody speaks English here too. So it's kind of easy to fall onto the speaking English side. But I still get like the daily question of like, oh, parle français? Oh, oui, je parle. Oh, wow. You know, so I have like I have my like little paragraph down that they're like, wow, you got it. And I'm like, yeah, okay, let's move back. You know, I try. I do what I can, but I have been working on it.
Yeah. And then, so how did you and your husband meet?
Oh, we met here. We actually met here.
Really?
It was like, yeah, we met here in France. I was heaviest single girl, like summer of my life.
As you should.
Oh yeah, it was 2017. It was a good year. And at the time, my daughter was with her dad for the summer, and I was just with my friends. And that year, I was like, that summer, I was actually so over guys and so over the BS.
I know. We're just like,
oh my gosh, it was so old. Like I just got so tired of that, and I was just dating a bunch of like the longest I was getting out of a relationship was like 3 years, and then eventually after the 3-year mark, then when I started to do like kind of dating casually, that it would be just like a couple months, and then it just got really silly. I was like, I'm giving my energy away to so many like dummies. Oh, sorry, excuse my language.
No,
but I just felt like people that just weren't worthy of my energy, of my time.
Yeah.
It was taking away even time from my daughter. And deep down, I really wanted someone to come home to, but I also was like not desperate. And so I said to myself, I'm not like cold-hearted either. I'm open to whatever can come. And I just said a lot of prayers. And I was like, I'm going to commit to my daughter. God, you are the man in my life. Like, I'm just focused on that. And whatever comes and the opportunity slides not in my DMs, not my but when it shows up, I'll like allow me to recognize that. So that summer I was like off of guys, and I was like, I'm all about my friends. And I just had so much fun. And like every time I actually said no to a guy, it was like something felt so good and fulfilling about it. And I just didn't fall for anything. And like the last day of that summer, I was in Saint-Tropez with my friends and dancing on the tables at a restaurant. And the host at the restaurant came over and he asked me if I wanted to meet this other another singer who was French at the restaurant. I said no. I was like, no, I'm okay.
No.
I said, I'm having fun with my friends. I'm okay. No, thank you. And he's like, oh, he's a French pop singer. I want to introduce you. I was like, well, if you want to bring it over here, that's fine. But I'm having fun with my friend. I'm not going to go to his table. And I think that's right. Also just,
love it.
You know how that is. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Let him come over here. You bring him over this way. If not, it's okay. I'm not missing out. I'm perfectly fine. And so he asked maybe 2 more times. And of course, for my husband, he was telling me the same thing. He was, the guy wanted to introduce us. And he was like, no, I'm not going over there. My husband knew who I was, but I didn't know who he was. And somehow at some point, they're dancing on the table. They asked me to sing one of my songs. Him and I caught eyes. He happened to be walking and caught eyes. And I was like, whoa, he's hot.
Hey.
Who is that? And the host saw us, let's see each other, and he just brought us over to each other. And I was like, oh man, had I known, I was like, I missed out on this guy. And,
like I would have been at that table.
Oh, I would have been. Tell me about it. I would have ran over there. But he had this like really cute French accent and bright crystal blue eyes. And I told him I was probably going to come back in a month because my other sister, her husband is French, or her ex-husband is French. And I was like, I'm going to come back in about a month to come visit with her. I was like, maybe we could hang out. And I got his number. And then the second that he left, I gave my phone to my friend and I said, Google him. So she Googled him and, and she Googled him. The first thing that she sees, she's like, oh my gosh, Tina, you guys have the same birthday.
What?
And I was like, no way. I was like, really? And I was like, okay, we're definitely hanging out. So I texted him and I was like, okay, I don't want you to think I'm being weird, but I Googled you. And it turns out we have the same birthday. And he's like, what? 26th September? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, let me know where you go tonight. And then the rest is kind of history. Like literally, you know what they say in movies, like the universe, like everything else disappeared.
Conspired.
He came to where we were at afterwards because we were at this club like next door to the restaurant. And literally, I don't think my friends existed. Like the two of us were like, and I've never really thrown myself at anybody like this. And I don't think I threw myself at him, but the two of us just had such a connection. It would feel like, two people that were just like magnetic force, with each other.
Yeah.
And that night he said to me, like, he said, you and I are going to have a child. Like, we're going to have a child together. I was like, oh.
Stop it.
I'm like, oh, okay. Is this that French, Frenchy stuff?
Is that the Frenchy stuff?
Right. And he says, we're gonna have a child together. And I was like, actually, I already have a child.
Oh,
and her name is Violet, and she's a girl. I mean a daughter. Her name is Violet, and she's 7 years old. And he's like, but you don't have a son. Oh my gosh,
he's smooth.
Okay, yeah.
And he's a Libra, right? You're both Libras?
He's a Libra, and he said he's never said that before. I really do believe him because he's such a prude kind of. So whatever it was, he believed in it. We've had 2 boys so far now.
Wow.
And he really the second that we started really connecting that night after that, we were FaceTiming. 2 weeks later, I came to visit him and then we were together. And then he when he came back to LA, he looked for a house, bought a house.
Damn.
I'm telling you, this is all within 2 months.
Whoa.
We've been together since. So thank God it wasn't
well, that's what I want to bring up.
Yeah. How do you differentiate?
Yeah. How do you differentiate? Because everything you're saying, at first you're like, oh, love bombing or bullshit or whatever, right? Because of experience.
Yes.
But this is proving to be absolutely 100% genuine and authentic.
Yeah. This one, I think because I knew how passionate I was about that prayer and seeing how committed he was to the things that he was doing. Because a lot of guys say they're going to do stuff. I've been with men where I would dated them for 3 years. And they're like, oh, well, let's get a place together. And I'm like, okay, let's go look at places. And then they fall off the planet. You look at places together and then that conversation is just out the door. Whatever happened to that,
Yeah.
And for him, he really he was about his word. He knew what he wanted. I could tell. And the connection he had with my daughter too was really sweet. Aww, that took a little time before I introduced them. But the way he considered me and her, that was a really big deal for me. And yeah, I was just I said to myself, I was like, okay, I want to pinch myself, but I was like, you know what? You deserve this. I also told myself, don't question it too much. I said, you prayed for this and you actually deserve this. So whatever it is, I have no, just go with it. Just keep going with the flow because it feels right. And, I think if you put any doubt in something that actually does feel right, maybe you can access some kind of doubt. I don't want to manifest that. So it was all right. Yeah, it was good.
Wow. I want to circle back to one of the things you said about the prayer because I had this convo with my husband yesterday. We're like, okay, when you pray, the coolest part to recognize, at least in my opinion, is you pray and then God shows up through people. Right? It's not like someone gets dropped on your lap and all your prayers are answered, but it usually seems to me that you pray and then a person has the right answer or a person wants to introduce you or a person wants, and when you close the door to that, a lot of time you're closing the door to your prayer.
I do. You know what? I believe what you're saying is very true. I think it's people. Sometimes it's the placement of a thing. I feel like even when you have that much faith in those kind of prayers, and I think it's the connections of the people around you, like you're saying. It's crazy because our world, you're like, how did I end up in this situation with my whole life? And then I happen to pray on it. And the next thing you know, this month, this week, today, my prayers were answered. So yeah, I believe it's oh gosh, I have this loud ringing. My daughter's trying to ask me for TikTok time and she's not getting it.
Denied.
Denied. And things they're really, I find answers in so many different things. The smallest things. It might be a word on a billboard or I'll just be thinking about something and all of a sudden I look up and I'm like, whoa, okay, there it is. There's my answer. So yeah, nice. I do believe that I'm a strong believer in prayer, especially when you're that connected and you feel that sometimes you don't even have to have that connection. When you're trying to find that connection, it's just talking and just manifesting it through your thoughts and speaking it out loud. Somehow it kind of manifests its way back, I think. Yeah.
Do you find more power in one versus the other? Thinking it versus speaking it out loud?
I feel like I speak everything out loud, definitely. I think it and speak it out loud. Even when I read, I'm speaking out loud because I need to hear it again. It's like regurgitating it back into, it's like a cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I can't read anything in silence because I'm like, am I actually properly taking this in if I don't hear it out loud? That's just how my mind works.
So you learn through audio?
Yes. I learned through audio and speaking it, and like it's coming and verbal. So I'm it's both like the word. It's almost like I have to hear myself to believe it.
That's so interesting. I'm the opposite.
Yeah.
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 Mm-hmm.
How do you work?
And read it, like to retain anything.
Yeah.
I mean,
I see what you mean. Oh, I'm the same way, like a script or anything like that. Even like I need to see it on paper.
Yeah.
I'm like, give it to me on paper, or I want to write it down.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, you're right. Like I'm not only just like if hearing it and memorizing it or just retaining it. It's kind of it's a combination of all of those things.
Right.
For me.
But you speak your like affirmations and your prayers and everything else.
I do. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I definitely do.
I told you that cool thing I learned or I heard. So I heard, and I loved this. They were like, well, if there is a God, why do I have to pray out loud? Can't he hear my thoughts? And the person said to him, you pray out loud every day, not for God to hear you, but so you can hear that you're not God.
Oh,
I was like,
oh wait, let me put that in.
Incredible.
Wow.
Oh, that's some new stuff. Write that down, and I'm gonna have to say that out loud so I can regurgitate that into my brain. Can you write that down so I can read it again?
Yeah, we'll put it in the chat.
You got to retain it.
That one struck me though. I was like, oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah,
it's a daily reminder that I actually am not the one in charge here.
Yeah, no. This is true. Absolutely.
Oh, I
do.
That's hard.
Yeah. I mean, there are things in our control, though. There's certain things,
yeah, of course.
Absolutely. The choices we make. There's a lot of things. It's crazy because there's so many ways of thinking of things. It's like, is it already written? Is it, there's like, it's written, and I'm just following the path, but these are the choices that I'm making, and I believe I'm making good choices but then you're like, was it written this, or did I choose to go down this path? So I don't know, but I just try to make good choices and try to think good thoughts so that good things happen.
Right.
Like Dexter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Come on.
He said to think some good thoughts. You know what? That was a good thought. That one was literally that day. I said a prayer that day because I had a meeting with my husband and some our architect, and I was meeting one of them for the first time, and we were going over plans for this we're doing a countryside house. It's really cute out here in France. Aww. And it was our first meeting, and they were all the attention was only going to my husband. All they were doing, the whole conversation was just straight up looking at him. And I was standing there and I felt hello, not only are we a couple, but we do this together. This is something we're doing together. I also realized over time later on, by the way, we're French, and sometimes French people are a little bit afraid to speak English in front of American people. So they get a little nervous and would rather be a little bit off-putting. But at that time, it was the first meeting and we were talking about everything. And I just felt like wallpaper. And so I remember leaving the meeting and I was kind of mad, but inside, it had nothing to do with my husband, nobody else. And I was like, I've been here in France and I love, here I'm kind of known as my husband's wife. I'm Matt's wife, which I don't really need titles and stuff. I'm okay with being Matt's wife here. Anywhere, titles are not a thing, but I do work my butt off. And I love to work and I love what I do. And I do have my own definition. I am myself, And I just felt like I wanted that same respect in that same meeting. So I remember just leaving and I was walking and I was like, why am I so, this is me talking to myself. I'm like, why am I so mad right now? And I was like, and then I was like, God, I said, I don't like this feeling, but I just want you to know that I'm ready. I said, I'm ready to work. Because I was over here figuring out life. My kid just starting school, and I was like, I'm ready to work. I'm ready to do something. But I said, not just anything. I was like, whatever there is, I want to recognize the opportunity, and I'm going to give it my all. But I want to do something that my family's going to be proud of. I want something that my kid's going to be proud of, my husband's going to be proud of, and that I'm going to be proud of. And that's what I said. And I think 2 hours later, I got the call for this audition. And so I was like, oh, wow, that's cool. That sounds really good. And I got off the phone. I'm not thinking about my prayer that I said right before. And then all of a sudden I realized, I was like, oh, you answered my prayer. Okay, this could be it. I said, all right. And I'm just like, I just knew in my head, I was like, I'm gonna give it my all, whatever the case is. But I felt like that was an answer to the dialogue that I had just shared with God. I was like, okay, this is my prayer. I put this out there. I'm not gonna ask for something and not give it, And he hands it to me, and I'm not giving it my all. So
right.
That was Dexter.
Wow.
And it's crazy. I kind of, it's one of those opportunities. I kind of before that might have questioned if I was worthy of getting that job.
Right. No, I was going to ask you, what's if you walk that back, because I find that to be really fascinating, is the moment before. Do you think if you hadn't have recognized the feeling, I'm feeling invisible, I'm feeling not worthy, whatever those feelings are, right? And then you worked with it, and then you turned that into a prayer of what you do want to experience. Do you think that had you not done that, you would have responded different to the audition coming in?
I think so. I think I might have just been a little I would have questioned it and been like, oh, I probably would have had some doubt in my head that that this opportunity is something that they would actually consider me. I don't know. I think possibly. I mean, it takes what we do as actors. It takes courage. I mean, some things are, they come easy, some romantic comedies, things like that come easier for me. I love to do it, but this is something that's different, and people don't always get to see me in roles like this. And sometimes I don't even get the opportunity to even audition or an offer for something like that, So when that does come up, instantly you can either dive into the, oh my gosh, am I good enough for this? Or you can challenge yourself and say, hey, I really want this, and I think I'm worthy of this, and I'm going to give my all. Even at times that I question it, I still am going to give 100%. But there's that little doubt in my mind that is a little bit like, I have to set up a camera. I have to do this. I have to get someone to read with me, blah, blah, blah. Like there's all of these hurdles even now, because you're not going to an audition. If you do an audition, that you're like, oh, I have to make sure my kids are asleep. I have to, it's not that easy sometimes.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
I feel like, is it ever easy? I mean, it's not. And this wasn't easy at all. The second it came up, not to say, like, I definitely was like, whoa, okay, this is an opportunity for people to be proud of me and for me to be proud of myself for something different. And, but I think there was an encouragement in that prayer and in that opportunity coming up that I said, okay, well, I don't know, it was an answer to it. So it became a little bit more light for me until, of course, the final callback or the screen test or whatever. Screen test, I was like, oh my gosh, okay. Okay, it's happening. I was like, holy cow, what's happening? Yeah. I don't know. I'm obviously, you could see I'm a strong believer in prayer. That's kind of like my daily life, and just kind of my outlook on life is just kind of what brings out the positive side, and the kind of like faith, kind of the faith driven living is what keeps me like pushing forward and going through my everyday, and seeing like, okay, where my journey is going is because of XYZ, and I'm just doing what I'm supposed to. That's
right.
Yes.
I don't know.
It's absolutely
100%.
How's it going? Like what brought you guys together to do your podcast? Like, is this like? It's so funny. I have some of my friends are like, we should do a podcast. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to talk about, what I would do.
Oh, I think you do. I think you do.
I'm talking your head off. Sorry.
No, we love that. That's so
why you're
much.
Here. Like, you don't want to hear from us. Like, we just, we want to hear from you.
No, but how cool is it? I'd love to see like two women who just like, I like that even we're talking about the things that we're talking about. Sometimes people like, They veer away from that because maybe they can't relate or they just don't, you know, they might not think the audience is interested, but
we don't play by any rules. Yeah. Like sometimes they're not, but we'd like to just, you know, get into it no matter what it is. Yeah. But we're like best friends from childhood and just.
Really?
Yeah. Like, you know, just dove into this thing together and it's been a journey, but it's great.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Like, we like these like conversations about everything and just not holding back and whether it's relatable or if it's not and just really getting into it. And you're being so amazingly open, which we always appreciate, you know, and it's just so cool.
Yeah. To me, the biggest, like when we got together to do this podcast, the question I love the most is like, how do you be human? And so when you're being open and you're talking to us, like, to me, that's answering that question more so than how did you get your success or what was the path to that? Because I think the most interesting part, the most digestible and the most inspiring part is how do you be human on a daily basis, whether it's a big job to a small job. We're all just here trying to figure this thing out, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yes. And we're all, I mean, it's a big job to a small job, sometimes job to job.
Right. And also it's like,
if people only knew.
Yeah. And we know that your life hasn't been without struggle.
Yeah.
You know? And so to me, I think, I remember once I went to a piano teacher. I went in for a session. I was trying to learn the piano. And I had been going through something and I walked in and he looked at me and he goes, I don't know who they are or what they did, but don't let them take your smile.
Aww.
And I was like, oh my God, he was right. And to me, you're proof of that because I don't know what happened in your previous relationship where you're raising a daughter and all of that stuff, but we're going to go ahead and guess that wasn't easy to navigate.
Oh, no. Yeah. No, but it's never easy when you have like smile. The ups and downs. Absolutely. Sure. It's funny even you saying about take my smile because I think early in my, like, especially my 20s and when I first started my music career, people used to kind of judge me for being too happy. And it's also, I think it's part of, I don't know. I used to get things, especially as music but you know, I like as I'm starting to look at the music industry and all the craziness that's happening and all the things that are exposed and stuff these days, I'm like, people wanted me to not, you know, necessarily be, you know, in this happy little bubble. And I always had in this bubble, I had a certain amount of protection. Like my mom has been my manager for my whole life. We still work together. And I was happily with her. Like the two of us work together. She's my manager. Now we're partners, like we partner and stuff. But I always wanted her around with me because I felt like, you know, I didn't want to be like a PSA. You know, I heard to hear about the stories and I actually love what I do and I'm having fun doing it. Last thing I want to do is disrupt that. And there were people that would come in and out that would try to disrupt that, whether it be a boyfriend or it be somebody in the industry or maybe even like a label just dropping me in the middle of everything and just thinking like my whole world could be, you know, over in the public. But I always just kept moving forward. I always kept smiling. I believed in the positive. I allowed myself to cry, of course. We all need to cry. You gotta be vulnerable. But there was something I went through some tough times even before I became a popular singer or actress. And that's when I found spirituality. And I think with my spirituality, I was like, okay, I have that. I know I'm always going to be good. So that's where I found my happiness. And so, yeah, there were many times people were like, why are you so happy? Or, you know, there's a lot of that growing up. And now I think now I kind of see why. I think I just didn't give in to the negativity or to the other side of things that, you know, could have changed my outcome. So, yeah, I think it's important. Keep a smile. I think your smile makes other people smile. And
I think people have a hard time accepting when they see, because I know I've been called out for like, it just seems like you're in a bubble, like nothing like gets to you or whatever. And for a long time, I definitely was like that. And people would just not understand and be like, Or talk about it negatively. I mean, and then, you get older and shit happens and you're like, oh, this is.
Yeah.
That's what
I was like, oh, okay. Then you have to find that like same youthful happiness again. Wait, I keep losing this headphone. Okay, here. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I miss that like 20-year-old bubbly, giggly.
Before life happens and you're like, oh, shit. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Because it does.
I think I preserved it long enough.
Yeah.
I had to be taught how to laugh.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
When I started
what do you mean?
I was the opposite. Like everyone would always be like, why are you so serious? And I remember in acting class, I had an acting teacher be like, we need to help you find your laugh. And he was like, I want you to go to movies. I want you to laugh louder than anyone in there. Anytime you're in the room, laugh louder, louder, louder. Because I didn't feel free to share my joy. That felt vulnerable.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
No, that totally makes sense. It is interesting.
I'm just hearing like a couple things I've never heard her say before, and I hear her say shit all the time.
That's what we did. We just opened the capsule. That's what was happening in your childhood with the between the two of you guys.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, you were in a bubble. I was crying.
Yeah, she was like, I was in a storm cloud. You were in like a rainbow bubble. That's exactly right. What I want to like kind of know, because, I'm a single mom, and I deal with all that. So like at the time, like you have your daughter and you meet your husband and whatever, and now you live in France, like what was that like transition like? And I'm just so curious because, you have another parent and whatnot and like what that looked like for you.
Well, most of the time, like year round, it's a lot of like, not a lot of, actually, my ex-husband trusts very much still like my, some of my choices that I make, but there are still conversations. And then of course you come across the different hurdles of like, oh, I got to update the passport. I got to do this. Like so, sometimes there's the things that you kind of dread when you're like, oh, I have to, it feels like a permission thing. But, and you're like, you just want to keep moving around and do your thing. But you're like, no, I have to do this and that and consider the other person. So we have those moments and we have those times also where, first off, he's remarried and I love his wife and I love their family.
Great.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Do they have kids as well?
They have kids. Yeah. Yes, they have kids. And my daughter goes over there and spends time with them. So we find like holidays and we find different, school breaks, things like that. We switch off and on. But we've always been in two different states. So since we broke up.
So it's always been like that. Yeah.
It's always been like that.
Got it.
So we're kind of used to that lifestyle. And, you come across little hurdles every once in a blue moon, but it just takes time. It's just time. It takes a couple lessons here and there. And also, it's also the relationship they grow between each other also makes those things different, So, we've made it work. And it's interesting because we haven't had like some, like, let's do a big, like your family and my family together kind of thing. We haven't gotten to that, but we recognize each other's, families and making sure we make the time for Violet. Violet is the one child that I have in this dilemma that we handle this way, but I don't know. We make it work and we root for each other, and somehow we've been friends over time, and now we're all like in this good place where now she's turning 15 and she's kind of making the decisions. Like, I want to go for Christmas to my dad's to be with my older sister, So I'm like, okay, well, you tell your dad, or I'll tell her and you let me know. So
that's so interesting.
It takes some time. Yeah, it is.
What age did you notice her starting to advocate for what she wanted?
Well, I've always given her the choice. And then there's sometimes it's like, okay, well, this is what's happening,
Right.
And sometimes even if she's like reacts like, oh, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that. And then she'll go, and then she's like, I don't want to come back, Mom. I want to stay an extra 2 weeks. So sometimes you just have to make the choice for them. But I think like middle school years is like kind of the time where they start, expressing their opinion about the situation. But you always have to just do what's best for them. And it's always, I think, really good for them to have the balance between the two, even if they're like maybe expressing at the moment, because they don't maybe want to make you feel bad as the mom, like, or else they just don't. Kids are lazy too. Sometimes they just don't want to do something extra or leave or, you know, leave what they know. Cause they're like, I can, you know, be on my iPhone for, you know,
Sure.
if I'm hanging out with mom, I could be on my iPad or this time of night, but when I'm with dad, you know, something silly like that. But so, you know, you're like, no, you need this balance. This is what your life is. And you have to make these choices for you. And you'll hopefully, I know she's in safe hands over there. That's the most important part.
Right. Of course.
Hopefully, she'll thank me later for it. Cause that way she has that relationship going both ways.
Yeah.
I have a question on how long did it take for you to introduce her to your husband? Obviously, he wasn't your husband yet. But how long and when did you know? How do you know as a mother, like, this is someone I want to introduce to my kid?
It was about 2 months later because we were like, I guess considering like we moved pretty fast and he came to Los Angeles from Paris. But to be honest with you, we were FaceTiming so much. Riley would always see him on FaceTime. And so he was kind of needing the whole family. I was always with my mom, always with my sisters. You know, I'm picking Violet up from school. I mean, that's kind of the start of our relationship was like hours of FaceTime. And I'm not really a FaceTime person. Before, I was like, I used to make fun of my friends for doing that. And here I was, you know, on FaceTime driving and he's just like sitting on the on the little stand, you know, or, you know, we would find time to talk to each other in between him working and me doing whatever I was doing. So Violet was introduced to him over the phone, really. And then when they finally did meet, I remember it was one day, it was like after school, her nanny had picked her up and I was taking him to the mall. But it was our birthday. We were going to celebrate our birthday.
Our birthday.
So cute.
It was our birthday.
Wait, same year or no?
No, he's 4 years younger.
Got it.
Yes.
Hey now.
Yeah.
So she came. So my nanny picked her up from school and then dropped her off to the mall. And that's where we met at the mall. And the first day, my daughter was so excited to meet him. She like ran up and I swear, she like, I have to show you the video. It's so funny. She like did a show for him. She's like, he did like a cartwheel and a split on the floor like a cheerleader.
No, she didn't.
That's how they communicate at that age. You say she was like 7 or 8. Like they communicate through
like,
cartwheels.
What's happening? Yeah, she did a cartwheel and she did the split. And she was like, get out. I was like, okay.
That's so cute.
And then there was a candy store right there. They went into the candy store and they got chocolate ants and they ate chocolate ants together. God. That was their thing. And then like he is so good with kids. He's really good with kids, like amazing with kids. He was like literally, I think that year he was the judge of like the Voice Kids and everything. He's done it like 2 different years in a row. He's awesome with like just communicating with. I'm like really awkward with other people's kids. I don't know what to say. I don't know. I'm kind of weird sometimes. And he's just such a natural. So it was really cute. The two of them at the mall. That's how they met each other. And
that's so
and
sweet.
Like they're best friends after that. All of us.
Aww.
Yeah,
that's
cute.
awesome.
That is awesome. And did you grew up in LA, right? I mean, you were born in Jersey, but how old were you when you moved to LA?
I was 13. Yeah.
Okay.
13. Yeah. 13. It was like 95.
And what school did you
95. I went to, for 1 year, I went to Loxa, which is,
We grew up here.
I did go to Loxa. Yeah. So I did Loxa, but I didn't do Loxa till like junior year. Before that, I did homeschooling because I originally just came for pilot season, went to the Oakwood apartments.
Yep. Oh, you did it? You went to the Oakwood.
I was an Oakwood kid. Yeah. I was like me, Jessica Biel, Kristen Dunst, all these kids, you know? And then I we did the 6 months. And then just as we're ready to leave, my sisters and I all booked these commercials and we stayed. And so then we just kept doing homeschool. And I checked out the schools in LA. And at that time, going from Maryland, which was like this little, suburban proper schools. And then all of a sudden it came to LA. And I was like, there's fences around the schools. At the time, it was Crips and Bloods. And like, it was scary.
Goodness.
I was like, if I got in fights back in, and I used to get in fights just for no reason. Like not me personally, but I got picked on in school. I was like, I can't imagine getting in a fight in LA. Like those are not, it's not
messing around.
No. So so we did homeschooling until, my sophomore year, I decided to try out Loxa and it was okay. It was a nice school. It's much nicer now. They have a really cool program now, but I went for music and that was good. And I graduated pretty early. I think I graduated maybe a year and a half early than I was supposed to.
Oh, wow.
Was it fun at the Oakwoods? I always wanted to do it. Yeah. It always seemed like a TV show, like all these kids coming to act or sing. And yeah.
It was so much fun. I have so many great memories. It was like one of the best memories of my childhood. And my sisters also. Like it's because you're like around like-minded kids. You're kind of running around in these little packs. From the pool to the clubhouse, and then there's like little events and stuff that are happening, and of the other parents who got what job.
Oh my God,
so different.
It's exciting at the time. It's a little fun, and we've made some really good friends for the long run actually from there. But you'd be surprised. There's a lot of actors, I'm sure, like because you're having that question that came from the Oakwoods. I don't know. After that, I feel like we left and it was never the same.
It's a different name now, I'll tell you that much.
Is it still happening?
Yeah. I have no idea. But I know
they changed it. Yeah, I think it's like Ava or something. I almost looked, when I came back for Dexter, I was like, what if? We had just sold our house and I was like, I got to get an apartment or I got to find some place to stay. And I was like, what if I just get a place over there? And I looked it up and it's way different. It's really nice. It's all new. But I didn't do it. You didn't do it.
That would be what a full circle, right?
Have you ever gone back to like speak or anything? Do they do that?
I haven't. I don't even know if
actors
feel the same way.
I used to, when I was an acting teacher, I used to go in and teach classes there.
At the apartments?
Yes.
No. Oh yeah.
Yeah, in like in like the rec room
like the
or whatever.
Room. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've only been there to play tennis once. Like we snuck on a tennis court.
Yeah.
Oh my God, so
sorry,
fun.
Total opposite.
The memories. No, but there's like so many good memories there.
That's so
You should
crazy.
just walk in. You should just walk in and be like,
hey there,
it
kids.
works.
You here for the season?
This
Stick around.
But I don't even know if it even exists, like pilot season. Like no one goes into audition.
Right.
No, I don't think there's like pilot season anymore.
That's what I think. I mean, I don't know. The world is so crazy now, and like the whole,
tell me about it.
All of it, like
this whole start of the year.
My goodness,
what is going on?
What
crazy?
Is going on?
I know. I'm like,
you're
what?
over there in France,
focusing on working out. I know, and I'm here, so I'm like, I feel. And so at least I'm away in some way, but I still feel some a little affected because I'm like, this is home and that's my family and that's my people. Like I can't separate myself from that. It's back home, so there's so many things that I'm like, you still see the news and everything. So I just try to stay focused on the positive. And like I think I need to start working out. I'm like, no more distractions, and I'm not even on my phone like that. I'm not even watching the news that much. I'm not that consumed with this stuff, but you still feel it,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
of course.
And so I'm trying. I was just telling myself today. I was like, okay, don't let this stuff. It's all a distraction. Like stay focused. Do what I need to get back in the gym. Really bad. I haven't started that. But I gotta put my health first. I haven't been working out in a second. That's like that always makes me feel good. So. Soon I think that's my thing. I got to focus on that soon.
Well, that could be
helps.
Yeah. I mean, it helps for sure. But I mean, I have the hard time doing anything for myself before my child. So.
But do you get homesick? Do you get homesick for here?
Oh, that's a good
no.
question.
You know what? I don't. I don't get homesick now. At the beginning when we first started dating, I didn't get homesick as much as I would like. It was a new lifestyle that I was separating myself on purpose, to be honest with you. I wanted to sacrifice the type of lifestyle that I was living, like partying with my friends and doing all the same thing. Like it just was so old for me. I was just ready for a change. And I knew if I was committing to this, it was like a lifestyle change. So I really spent like my health, did like less social drinking, working out, less partying, which meant a lot of saying no to my friends, like about going out or going to dinners or doing stuff. And at the beginning, of course, it's like it's easy because you're so in your relationship. And then there comes a time where you're like, I kind of miss my friends. But then your friends stop asking you about going out because they're like, well, you say no all the time. And you're like, no, but I just want to still be considered. And
that's me. I know.
I'm like, she says no every time, but still wants to be asked.
Yeah, I want to be asked. I want to be invited. I'm not going to go, but
it was a lot of that. And then I finally was like, then I found like different hobbies, and I was happy that like going out thing wasn't really my thing anyways. And I pick and choose when I go out or when I like meet up with my friends or for like someone's birthday. Like one thing about my husband, he's super supportive about anything I want to do. So if it is about a trip with my friends or something, these are choices that are up to me. You know, he's never like, he doesn't put a hurdle in front of me for that or doesn't guilt trip me about it. Even though in my mind at the beginning, I thought maybe he would. So that kind of like, I'd set that up for myself in my own head. And it turns out it's not like that at all. So,
nice.
So yeah, no, it's really good. So, no, I don't get, I think a lot of people, especially even since the pandemic, everything is just different now anyway. So now they're way more understanding of it. Before that, they were kind of like, Tina's no fun anymore. And then all of a sudden pandemic hit and people were like, I'm staying home or maybe I'm going to go out or maybe not, you know, so they get me now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thank God for like social media and for, of course, FaceTime and our phones. And I still communicate very much with my friends and they catch me up with what's going on. And yeah, no, I don't really miss out on too much. I like what's happening around me. And then my friends are really supportive as well. It's nice to have friends that do the same as my husband too, that support it because it was difficult for them that I changed like kind of everything.
Yeah.
But I was ready for that change. I have to be honest with you. I was like, that's part of the prayer. It was like, I'm so tired of this. Like, I don't want to go out anymore. I don't want to do this. I'm tired of seeing the same people. Like, I was over it. It had nothing to do really with just my husband. I was just so done with it. So I was just ready. And so, yeah, we had like throughout the years, like in the beginnings, me and my friends would have like one-on-ones once in a blue moon and we would like cry to each other. Like, I miss you. I miss you. I just want you to love you. Like, I think about you, you know, we would have these conversations because sometimes they thought that maybe I was like so done that I just didn't care about them or that I moved on. And there was such a big shift in our friendship, but the friendship was still there. They were always in my heart. They were always still like, you know, family to me. It's just, you know, things had changed a bit. So, but it was nice to have those moments with them.
Yeah, I totally.
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah.
This is going to be so out of left field, but there was something I was thinking about that I wanted to ask about. The food at the schools. Well, not the food in France, obviously, like the butter. I can't even. But
I love the butter.
The school meals, are they so different than what you would see here?
Okay, so my daughter tells me she's not fond of the school meals. She said, but they're totally different. Yes, because it'll be like quinoa salad, or like it'll be a sandwich, but it's like full French bread,
right? And she's like, "Where are my chicken fingers?"
yeah, it's not. It's a really different menu that they have. So it's different. Sometimes, I mean, she's gotten used to it, and she eats it. And actually, I make her lunch every day, so she takes lunch with her from home every day. But when she's at it, you know, sometimes she's like, "Mom, it's boring. It's the same thing." So she's that crazy about it. Oh, that's okay.
It's just people like, I think, fantasize so much. I know I do. Like, oh, living in France, and like you send your kids to school in France, and like the food, and then this, and like there's not as many preservatives, like all the things, but like you're actually living that.
Yeah, no, that part, especially like you're saying, all the preservatives, all the things that were like, I never thought, when I first started dating my husband, I was like, oh, he's such a prude, you know, about the food and all that stuff. And then I finally get it. I'm like, oh, wow, we're really consuming such bad things and the amounts of the food and just what's in it. I'm like, I feel safer here when it comes to that. It feels fresher. It tastes different. Even my palate is different. I used to need a lot of seasoning and a lot of flavor in something. And now even my palate is it's settled down. I'm fine with something that just has salt and pepper.
Wow.
And olive oil. I'm like, wow, okay, it's fresher. You can enjoy the fruit or the vegetable, anything like that, you know? So yeah, your palate changes after a while.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm hungry.
I make my kid a fresh lunch every day, and he picks the school lunch.
Oh, yes. And then he comes back home with
with his full lunch. I'm like,
what are they serving?
I have no idea because he can't really talk.
Right.
So I don't know what he's eating. Like, I know that when I've gone to pick him up,
it must be good.
But it's like burritos in plastic bags that, like, you gotta know they're heating it in that. It cannot be good for them.
Oh my gosh. That was my life. I used to love those.
Me too.
Oh my God, of course. What about
I was like give me that square pizza.
Pizza, yeah. It was the best.
What about
could
those?
You imagine what was in there?
Do you remember those like taco boats? Do you remember that? They were like
that's in LA. LA they had that. My sisters
Yeah.
had that. Yeah.
I loved those.
We're-
And the nachos.
the nachos.
The nachos were the best.
This is where we just go off the
The nachos
rails.
were good. And then
They
they would
were
have like a
good.
random like scoop of corn on the side. Like, okay. I never did it.
Now it's healthy.
There we go.
Oh man, I really just idealize like how you're raising your kids over there though.
Yeah, and I love that we talked to a friend today, actually. We were talking about like the difference between homeschool or keeping your kids in the same school. And
Oh yeah.
I'm of the philosophy, like, they're adaptable. Life is an adventure. Let's go. Let's keep moving. I
agree.
love that.
Don't be afraid to like continue to live your life. Kids are, like you said, they're adaptable. They'll go with the flow. It's all like a fun adventure for them too. Don't be afraid to like meet people out of the box. It's a single mom. I was definitely in like this box, and I was like, part of that prayer was like,
And then you just got on the table.
My eyes and let me see what let me not think it's only this one thing or one type,
Sure. Yeah.
And and you just never know. I never thought I would date somebody from Europe or from out of the country, out of the US. That was my first time, and it was presented to me, and I was like, okay, well, let's try this, and if this is part of it, then let's go. We gotta move, we gotta do this. All right. It's exciting. Like, who wouldn't want to move these days anyways?
Exactly.
Yeah, I know. I'm like,
you went with the flow.
I need to go to a club in San Tropez and dance on the table.
Yes.
I'll
meet you here this summer. I got some people.
Oh my God, please. Let's go. I am all about it.
Yeah, definitely get out of town.
I know.
And they'll take you and you have your
I have one daughter.
Your one daughter.
Yeah,
Okay.
she's 10.
It's possible. That's great. See, I had a 7-year-old daughter, 2 different cultures, 2 different worlds.
I like
Who would have
that,
known?
though.
That's very cool. What a cool
awesome.
experience.
And you're awesome.
Yeah.
You are awesome.
Thank you. You both are too. Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, we're so happy to talk to you. You're just
And
the
can't
best.
wait to watch Dexter.
I know. That's super exciting.
Dexter. You guys have to check out, anybody listening, check out Dexter Original Sin. We're on like episode 8 or 9. I'm playing Maria LaGuerta. One of the biggest fun challenges I've ever experienced as becoming this character. Obviously, I prayed for it, and I was like, I'm going to give it my all, and I got it. And she's a strong woman from Miami, who's Cuban, who's just the first, female homicide detective amongst a bunch of men in the 90s. So I get to, I got to pursue her, and now we have a show out. So everyone check it out. It's good.
So cool. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Very exciting.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks for talking to us today or tonight for you.
Oh yeah, no problem. It's no problem. And hopefully one of these days we'll all meet up or something.
Yeah. We would love that.
Or you
would love that.
Come here. Don't be
I'd rather come there.
Okay.
We're gonna let you know when we go.
I'll follow you guys.
We're gonna get Rachel on the table.
Yeah,
that's the only goal.
Yeah. No, but your story's inspiring. One of the things that I love most, and it's been the theme of the week, is going with the flow. Yeah. And people are always like, oh, I'm in and out of flow, or I'm not in flow. And I'm like, what you have to remember is flow sometimes rapids.
Ooh.
Right? It's not always calm. It's not like I'm in flow and that means it's calm.
Yeah.
Sometimes
you don't know you're in it. Yeah, you're in it.
Sometimes the flow is really a rapid river, or it changes, whatever. But it sounds to me like you are so intentional and you've gone with the flow of your life, and you're living proof that can be a really powerful thing. I love it.
Well, let's hopefully pass this message on to everybody.
Yeah.
Feel our good energy coming out from our voices and our video. Hello.
This is our PSA.
Yeah.
There we go.
So you did become a PSA.
Yeah.
I made it.
Yeah.
Aw, awesome. Well, you have an amazing night with your husband.
Thank you. You too. And thank you for your time. And do it again.
Yeah,
absolutely.
For sure.
Thank you.
Love.
Take care.
You too.
Bye.
Okay. Goodbye.
That was a Headgum podcast.